Today in the Boot Guide, we are looking at the Thorogood 814-4600, the waterproof wedge sole moc-toe armed with the Extremes waterproof liner. I've been waiting forever for this boot to exist in the Thorogood line. Now, I know it has existed in the 3600. I know that that's been out for over 2 years, and I had a pair for a while, super comfortable. But when it comes down to Thorogood, when it comes down to wearing a Thorogood as a casual boot and then you move it into your work boots, I love the color of this leather. This is my favorite color of leather, tobacco color. I just love it. There's something about it. Maybe it's the historical value for me and this boot for how many pairs I've sold and for how many pairs I've owned over the years. Maybe that's what it is. It's just nostalgic, right? But I've been waiting for this for a long time. So I'm gonna talk about this boot, but I'm not gonna use this brand new fresh pair that's all nice and clean. I'm actually gonna use my pair that I've been breaking in, and I'm gonna talk about it from this point, from it being my boot, from me spending some time in this thing. All right, so let's run down all the positive things about it, and there is 2 negative things about it that I don't like, that they're so minuscule and they're completely fixable, but they are 2 things that exist, and I'm sure when you pick up a pair, you're gonna run into them also, and I just wanna assure you, don't worry about those things, just give it some time, all right? All right, so let's start with the sole. MaxWear wedge sole, like you find on all their wedge boots today. What's the big deal about it? Well, it's the longest wearing wedge sole material on the market. This material is lasting, guys, 2 months longer than anything else out there. No matter what job you're in, if you're an iron worker, pipe fitter, carpenter, concrete guy, MaxWear wedge is just the ideal type sole for a work environment. Now, that's talking work. We're talking 6 months out of a pair of these, maybe 9 months if you're lucky. And for somebody that might sound like a really short period of time, but you got to think that's 6 to 9 months of pure comfort. Out of the box, all of the wedge sole boots from Thorogood that come with the MaxWear wedge are comfortable. There might be a little break in here or there, but the actual fit and the cushion of the boot, outstanding because of the sole. Now, if you're thinking about these as a casual boot and you're looking at that 6 to 9 month time frame, it doesn't apply to you. When you're wearing these as casual boots and they're not an every single day, you're not walking raw iron and raw concrete that's just been poured, it's gonna last you a lot longer. Think about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years out of this sole before you're resoling them. And yeah, that's it. That's the beautiful part about the wedges from Thorogood, is that since they're American made and they're American built, they are completely recraftable because they still build boots in that old style, a fully welted sole. Now, rebuilding a pair of these from a casual standpoint makes a ton of sense because you can actually turn this into a 10-year boot just by resoling it 3 or 4 times. Now, when it comes to work boots, you really got to be careful when you're thinking about resoling these, because most of the time when you're working in this, you're swamping it, you're drying it out, you're spending so many hours in this thing, you're pushing it in unimaginable ways. And when I say pushing it, I mean you're stretching the leather in different ways. So when it comes time to resole and your boot is kind of on an angle like this, it's probably not the best thing. And if you are working a lot of hours, if you're making enough money, it's probably a pretty good idea for you to pick up 2 pairs of boots, just so when you start wearing down that sole, that you can stop wearing that pair, send it off to be resoled, start wearing a new pair, and eventually you're gonna get this cycle going where you're always gonna have 2 pairs of boots so you don't have to put on a wet pair the next day. You've always got a pair that's drying out, that's comfortable, and resoling is a pretty cheap process, so it makes sense in the long run. Now, extreme waterproof liner. It's been tested. It's been tested in the Thorogood Omni. It's been tested in the 4008 moc-toe model. We know that Extremes works. Guys are writing about it, talking about how dry their feet are, how the Extremes has really saved their day when they got sent off on a job and it was not everything they were expecting because of the rain the night before. Extremes work. So putting Extremes into a 6-inch moc-toe, this might not be for everybody. But for a lot of us, this is the way to go, because now it becomes an all-around, every single day boot. You can do whatever you need to do in this boot. You don't have to worry about water anymore. That means plumbers can start wearing this boot. Guys that do a lot of digging, who like to wear a wedge sole and dig in a wedge sole, personally, don't understand it. Guys do it. So now they've got a boot that they can wear that's also American made, that's also rebuildable. Now you see where that tongue's sewn up to? That's your waterproof line. So you've got that whole space all the way down that you can stand in water, because that's just how good the Extremes waterproof liner is. You can stand in the water for a long period of time. It's not gonna penetrate. Eyelids and speed laces, it's Thorogood. They're using the best stuff on the market. They're putting them in nice and deep. Look how nice and deep that speed lace is. Look how nice and deep that eyelid is. That's not coming out. That's gonna take a lot of energy to rip that thing out of that leather. Plus, this is going through 2 layers of leather and the waterproof barrier, liner, and all of that. So that's got a lot of beef there holding that thing in place. The collar on the boot is finished off in a nice rounding angle. So it comes up a little higher around the ankle bone and sits down a little bit lower in the Achilles tendon. As you can see from wearing this boot for the last week, it's really starting to soften up back here. That heel cup is starting to tighten up too, right where I needed it to tighten up, right where that boot fits perfectly. Now let's talk about size and fit, and then I'll get to the 2 things that I think could be remedied pretty easy just by wearing the boot. Now they make it in D and double E widths. Now what I'm gonna suggest is to you guys is if you're wearing a regular D width to go with a double E. And what I found is that my size normally in Thorogood boots is 12. I could probably swing this boot in an 11.5 if I was going to wear it in the summertime only with super thin socks. Point being, I've been breaking these in with some heavy duty winter double thickness socks, and I'm finding these to be super comfortable because I've given myself that space, a little extra room in the front, a little extra room inside. I'm tying it up really tight in order to soften up that leather really quickly, and it's working. This thing has become ultimately the most pliable boot that I own with laces. Now talking about that comfort, USA insole. Now, this is probably one of the nicer insoles on the market because of the different types of materials and because they actually last. You can move this insole from boot to boot. Once this thing is burnt out, or any boot you have with the USA insole is burnt out, you can move this insole into something else and you got yourself a nice, comfortable insole. Laces sent along, top notch. Really nice Tazlon laces. Saw no problems in them whatsoever. Okay, so now about the 2 things that I don't like. I don't like the metal embellishment at the top. I don't feel that this is necessary. It's just a piece of metal that's next to the ankle. It has not gotten in the way with any of the boots I've owned so far with the Extremes liner, the 3600, and now this 4600. It has never been a problem, but it's just a personal thing. The next thing about these boots is the tongue. The tongue is going to be the hardest part to break in on this boot, and there's all kinds of little tricks that you can do in order to get this thing broken in quickly. But the best thing you can do is take your time lacing your boot up for the first week to 2 weeks. Make sure you tuck that tongue all the way around your foot, and make sure you tighten your boot all the way up from the bottom to the top. If you're like me and just like to yank your laces, okay, it's gonna work, but you're not gonna get that tongue to sit nice and flat is what you're looking for. Because once you get that tongue broken in, that's it, you're done. There's no break-in with the sole and the leather. Because of the Extremes liner being so soft and padded, the interior of the boot, where your foot is sitting down in here, it's super comfortable. There's no break-in period there. There's nothing to rub, there's nothing to bang around inside there. The only drawback is that tongue. Take your time, fold it in, and before long, you're gonna be happy. So that's the Thorogood 814 4600 waterproof moc-toe wedge sole boot. Hey, if you're currently wearing anything from Thorogood, please comment below. Let guys know what you think about the brand, the boots you're wearing. If you got anything with the Extremes liner, please comment below. Let guys know what you think about the Extremes. Are you really happy with it? Is it 100% waterproof? Please comment below. Hey, if you want to see some detailed photos of this boot, or if you want to see the short video that I shot inside a Chinese restaurant doing a fitting, please swing by to bootguy.com. I'll have all that there waiting for you in a blog posting titled Thorogood 814 4600. Please don't forget to hit my subscribe button below. It really helps out. And remember, if you're on Instagram or Twitter, you can always follow me there. Hey, if you're about to pick up a pair of these 4600s, 4200s, or anything from Thorogood and you just got some questions, about size, fit, whether or not it's the right boot for your line of work, anything in the line, feel free, shoot me over an email. We can have a conversation about it. We can talk about all the boots that Thorogood makes. All right, until the next time, I'm the Boot Guy. Thanks a lot for watching.